This is Chuck Miller from Oracle, and I want to give you a brief demo today of the Enterprise Command Centers for the financial applications of EBS. Our safe harbor statement, and the three command centers we're going to take a look at today are General Ledger, Payables, and Receivables command centers. So when I go into the General Ledger Command Center, I see that there are three dashboards across the top of the screen, and I have my key performance indicators indicating closed, open periods, unposted journals, and any posted areas. And then I have my accounts listed graphically. And below that, I have some information on the journal entries and the journal details indicating what has been posted, what has not been posted. Excuse me. I'm going to isolate the expense accounts. So I'm going to click on the bar here, the yellow bar for expenses, and that is going to bring up my expenses. So there's miscellaneous travel expenses. And when I look down at the period activities by chart of account, I see that this one account code here has no cost center associated with it. So I am going to drill into that account. And then I see the account inquiry and the what has occurred. So I've got a roadmap to follow here. And when I go to this last box, I'm going to click on this and see that I can make this the anchor node if I want to look at multiple transactions, see the details, explore any journal line mode. But what I'm going to do is drill down into the subledger journal. And as I do this, it brings up the HTML screen for showing me the transactions, the journal entry lines actually, and whether they're debits, credits, etc. And I'm going to take this button here to view the transaction. And what this does is it brings me back into the e-business suite. Now, the Enterprise Command Centers leverage the security you've already put in place for EBS. So if I didn't have any business going into the General Ledger, I couldn't shortcut it by going to the Enterprise Command Center. So it would obey the same security. But what we've done, when you think about this for a minute, we started off at graphs, and now we're back into the e-business suite where I can have full capability and do any kind of updates I may need to do on this transaction. So I step through this. So I'm going to exit here and go back to my command center. And now I want to look at the actual journal entries. So I'm going to take this button here. So I've gone from the command center to EBS back to the command center. And now I bring up the subledger journal and I see the actual details of the transactions and how they were accounted and the accounts that were hit by this. And I can actually view the T accounts from here. And I'm going back into the business suite again. So the Enterprise Command Center lets me go back and forth between the command center and the supporting EBS forms or HTML screens, depending on what you're using, that support that. Then once I'm here in EBS, I have full capability as if I had logged on to EBS independent of the Enterprise Command Center. So I'm going to exit that, and I've brought up the Accounts Payable Command Center. And again, there are four dashboards in this command center, and I see my key performance indicators. And something a little bit different, we have tag clouds here. And the tag cloud indicates the number of occurrences of something. And needs revalidation is 594. But the other thing, if there is no number here, the larger the font is the larger the occurrences. So I have my tag cloud, which I can drill into to look at the invoices that need revalidation. And I see the aging of past due invoices, supplier open balance. As I scroll down, I can see the open invoices, unapplied prepayments, paid invoices associated with that. So I have a lot of information at my fingertips. And what I want to drill into is the past due days. So as I drill into this, you'll notice that my tag cloud has changed. My statistics have changed. I've gone from 594 to 589. And I see that federal supplier is the supplier with the largest open balance. So I'm going to drill into federal supplier, and I see I have my refinements at the top of the screen, my operating unit, my aging bucket, and my supplier. But then my KPIs have changed based on the selection I've made in those refinements. So I see that 481 now need revalidation, only 17 have been validated. When I scroll down, excuse me, I can isolate an individual invoice and click on that, and it brings me back into the e-business suite. And this is showing me in forms that this invoice needs revalidation. And I think it's because of tax. When the purchase order was entered, if this is a purchase, yes, a purchase order for goods, there was no tax applied. So that's why I have a variance and this invoice needs to be revalidated. Now, back at the e-business suite, I have full capability to do my transactions and revalidate this or do any other thing that I have access to with that I have proper authority to do. So that's something that's pretty cool. Going from the command center again back into the e-business suite. And now I'm going into the receivables dashboard. And again, I have 5 dashboards in the receivables command center. Looking at my KPIs, key performance indicators for those. And I see my aging buckets, past due customers. And then I have a whole list of transactions with my invoices and invoice amounts. In this case, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let's say that I am a particular collector and I'm going to be Pat Beardsley. So I'm going to select that refinement, that filter associated with this, and see my filter is in the top of the screen. I have my aging buckets, but this time AC Networks is my largest customer. And notice that the key performance indicators have changed based on the refinement I've put in here. So I'm going to click on AC Networks, and I can see all the transaction numbers associated with AC Networks. And then I can preview this first invoice if I so desire. And when I do that, it brings me to what the invoice is actually going to look like when I send it to the customer, and I can either download it or print it or whatever the case may be, and email it to the customer. So that was a brief demonstration of the enterprise command centers for the financials. I hope this was worthwhile, and thank you for your time.